You wake up before the alarm, not because you're rested, because your mind is already running. There's a heaviness in your chest, a quiet pressure behind your eyes, a tension in your body that feels older than today, and before your feet even touch the floor, the thoughts begin. You're behind. You should be further by now. You're wasting time. You're not doing enough. You're not enough. You try to shake it off. You tell yourself it's just stress, just a phase, just life. You smile when people ask how you're doing. Good. But beneath that answer, something is burning. Here's what no one likes to admit. Most people are not truly living. They are reacting. Reacting to fear, reacting to anxiety, reacting to anger, reacting to expectations, reacting to memories, reacting to imagined futures. Lives. They're surviving their thoughts. And the worst part? They think this is normal. We were never taught how to sit with our emotions. We were taught to suppress them, to power through, to stay positive, to be strong. But strength without awareness becomes denial, and denial becomes quiet suffering. The Stoics understood something we forgot. They did not teach emotional suppression. They taught emotional mastery. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Read that again. Power over your mind, not over outcomes, not over other people, not over the economy, not over luck. Over your mind. So why do we spend our entire lives trying to rearrange the external world while abandoning the internal one? This video is not here to comfort you. It is here to confront you. What controls you? You will continue to be controlled. And freedom does not begin outside. It begins within. Fear, the quiet architect of your life. Fear is not loud most of the time. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It says, wait, not yet. You're not ready. What if you fail? What if they judge you? What if you embarrass yourself? It disguises itself as intelligence, as caution, as responsibility. But underneath that mask is the same thing, avoidance. You don't make the call, you don't speak up, you don't take the risk, you don't apply, you don't start. And every time you hesitate, fear grows stronger. Not because it defeated you, but because you listened. Slowly, your life begins to shrink. Opportunities fade, connections weaken, dreams collect dust, and you call it being realistic. But Marcus Aurelius warned us, it is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live. Fear doesn't just cost you action. It costs you aliveness. The feeling of your heart racing because you're stepping into something real. The growth that only comes when you're uncomfortable. The expansion that happens when you risk being seen. Fear promises safety, but what it often delivers is stagnation. And stagnation feels deceptively peaceful. But it is not peace. It is paralysis. The turning point comes when you stop running. When you look fear directly in the face and ask, what are you actually protecting me from? Most fear is not about physical danger. It's about emotional discomfort. Rejection, failure, embarrassment, disappointment, but none of those will destroy you. Regret might. Information. But information does not deserve authority. You can feel fear and still move. That space between fear and action, that is where your power lives. Anger, the fire you don't understand. Anger is misunderstood. We think it's aggression, but anger is often pain that never found a voice. We are taught two options. Explode or suppress. Both lead to damage. When you explode, you hurt others. When you suppress, you hurt yourself. But anger itself is not evil, it is a signal. Seneca wrote, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more harmful to us than the injury that provokes it." Anger says, this matters, this crossed a boundary, this hurt. But when you don't pause to understand it, anger mutates. It becomes resentment, it becomes bitterness, it becomes passive aggression. Exhaustion. Most people carry anger from years ago. Unresolved conversations, unspoken truths, unprocessed betrayals, and because they never examined it, they normalize it. I just have a short temper. No, you have unprocessed pain, The real power is not in suppressing anger. It's in interrogating it. What expectation was violated? What wound was touched? What insecurity was triggered? Anger is armor, and armor protects. But it also isolates. The strongest person in the room is not the loudest. It's the one who can feel the fire and still choose wisdom. That pause between trigger and reaction, that is self-mastery. And self-mastery is freedom. Anxiety, the illusion of control. Anxiety feels responsible. It sounds rational. It whispers, just think about it one more time. Prepare for the worst. Goes wrong. It feels productive. But it is rehearsal for pain that does not exist. Anxiety convinces you that thinking more equals control. But thinking more often equals delay. It pulls you out of the present moment and places you in imaginary futures. Your heart races. Your stomach tightens. Your mind spins scenarios that may never happen. And because the feeling is real, you assume the threat is real. But feelings are not facts. They are experiences. You don't need to solve every what if. You need to return to now. Now is where your life is happening. Now is where your power is accessible. Peace is not found in certainty. It is found in trust. Trust that when something happens, you will handle it. And that trust is built through action, not overthinking. Courage in the face of anxiety is not the absence of fear. It is choosing to show up anyway. You are not the storm. This is where everything shifts. You are not your emotions. You feel anger. You are not anger. You feel fear. You are not fear. You feel anxiety. You are not anxiety. Emotions are weather patterns. They pass. But you are the sky. When you identify with every emotion, you become unstable. When you observe them, you become grounded. This is the difference between reacting and responding, between being controlled and being conscious. The Stoics understood this deeply. They trained themselves to pause, to question, to reframe, to choose, not because they were emotionless, but because they refused to be enslaved by emotion. The illusion that is draining you so much suffering comes from one illusion. If I can control everything, I will be safe. Control. People's opinions, outcomes, timing, the future. But control outside of yourself is fragile. It will always break. And every time it does, you feel powerless. The Stoics separated life into two categories. What is within your control, what is not. Within your control, your thoughts, your actions, your responses. Everything else, borrowed territory. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, you stop leaking energy. You stop fighting reality. You stop exhausting yourself. And something incredible happens. You feel lighter, because you finally placed your effort where it belongs, inside. Mastery is built in micro moments. Mastery does not happen in dramatic breakthroughs. It happens in small, quiet decisions. The breath before you speak. The pause before you react. The awareness before you spiral. You don't need to transform overnight. You need to interrupt autopilot. Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Most people call their patterns fate. It's just how I am. No, it's what you have practiced, and anything practiced can be reshaped. Fear will return. Anger will rise. Anxiety will whisper. Let them, but don't surrender leadership. Feel fully. Act wisely. That is strength. Not suppression, not denial, but conscious choice. And every time you choose awareness over reaction, you take one step closer to freedom. Not external freedom, internal freedom, the kind no one can take from you. The kind that remains steady even in chaos.